Hello, 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 everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is that you're joining me from. It's 7 p.m. in my neck of the wood, and it's time to connect. All right, and I'm really excited. It's 31st August 2025, the last Sunday and the very last day in the month of August. It's an amazing day for me for many reasons. Top of the list is today happens to be my father's 86th birthday. All right. And if you've been on the Connect over these years, you know how big I am on birthdays, especially of loved ones, of kids and kin. All right. So today is my father's birthday, Dr. NJ Usoro, and I wish you, Daddy, a happy 86th birthday. You have lived long, may you live longer, and, health, goodwill, blessings, joy, and everything that you have ever prayed for or desired for yourself is coming to you in manifold ways. All right. And then shout out to everybody who's had their birthdays in the month of August. We resumed the fifth season of The Connect. Resumed the fifth season of The Connect this month. And so, an opportunity for me to wish everybody whose birthday it has been today in the course of the month a most happy birthday. So, I celebrate you right here on The Connect. Okay, so it's an amazing episode that we have. We started off a series last week, actually 2 weeks ago, even though the first was just like an introduction to the series, and then the series itself continued properly, and it was the conversation that we've been having around the future of work. And guess what, guys? This is one topic that I am truly not in a hurry to run away from. Why? Because anything that has to do with the positioning of people to be able to rightly not just identify, utilize, but maximize the opportunities of tomorrow is not a subject matter that you just want to deal with lightly. It's also not a subject matter that you don't want to have. You don't want to have peripheral understanding of. You want to have deep enough understanding so that you can deploy it and apply it as you rightly ought to. All right. So we started off the series in earnest last week, where we had conversations about understanding, where we are versus where it is that we're supposed to be going to in the concept of work. We also had the conversation where we talked about. I began to introduce what I call the Casper model, which was supposed to help individuals and entities be able to have a reappraisal of certain things even before we begin to look at what the work of the future is, definition of what the future is, and understanding of what the future is will help you now be able to calibrate and align rightly. Alignment is very essential. And we spent quite a bit of time, you know, talking about alignment last Sunday. So at the one instance, we were talking about clarity, right? Remember, we were talking about clarity, and then I spent a bit of time also talking about alignment. I had said then that this Sunday I was going to be dealing with planning, execution, results, and all of that, but strategy, and all of that. But this Sunday we're going to have a twist to it. All right. And I also just want to say that hold on a second. Let me do a quick check here. All right. And I also want to say that thank you to everybody that is joining us on the different platforms on LinkedIn. I see you. Thank you to all those that are joining us on the YouTube channel. I also see you as well. Thank you so much and so much. Again, for those of you that have been used to Facebook from the past 4 years, something happened to the old Facebook account. It's being worked on, and I'm sure that before the end of September, looking at it critically, before the end of September, we'll be able to do something about the Facebook account, and we also will be streaming on Facebook. Right. So to the episode today, it promises to be loaded. It promises to be mind blowing. It promises to be very insightful and hopefully very impactful. And why do I say this? Because I have a guest. No, I'm not saying it because I have a guest. I'm saying it because I have an idea of how the conversation today will go. And it's not going to be just pity party, wish-washy, just touching this. No, 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 no. We're literally going to be breaking a lot of tables today. I mean, because for me, this conversation is not just about the future of work. Yes, that's what's at the heart of it. But we're even looking at everybody focuses on the person that will do the work. We're also looking at the environments in which the person will work. We're looking at those, the employee, the employer of the future. All right. And we're looking at employers right now that will not, the way that they're going, will not be able to migrate or transition into the future. So it's a very holistic conversation that we're having because we're looking at business structuring, we're looking at organizational developments, we're looking at culture entrenching. And all these are pivotal to the idea and the concept of the future. And hear this, guys, before I tell you about my guest. Hear this. Last Sunday, I was telling you about the principle of anchorage and adaptability. And this is at the heart of everything that has to do with your preparation and your positioning for the future of work. In the scheme of things, anchorage and adaptability. And I am going to get my guest to talk about it soon to come. So I'm going to be checking into the waiting room to see if my guest is ready. All right. As in, we don't have time. We don't have time. We have to run. I'm going to be checking into the waiting room to see if my guest is ready. And then I will be bringing him up. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about my guest. Drums roll, LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever it is, as I bring on my guest into the studio. Francis Uka is a phenomenal gentleman. Now, there are people that you meet and there are people you get to interact with, and people that you hear them share their mind, their thoughts, tell you about their practicing in certain areas without needing a second or third person to tell you that this is a thought lead. And a thought lead, by my definition, is someone who, by way of experience, practice, and curiosity, has given to the study on the practicality of a subject matter. So when someone says, "Oh, A is a thought lead on organizational development," and so it's because I deal in thinking, in brooding, in contemplating, in asking looking at the pros, the cons of every process of people, process, structures, and systems, and all of that. Francis Zuka, my guest today, is a thought lead when it comes to the area, amongst other areas, of human capacity development. It's amazing. He's not just a employability coach, which is very key to the heart of the conversation that we're having today. Is also a journalist. So when you have an employability and a career coach who is also a journalist, you know that the place of asking the right questions to get the right answers is very critical. And you've heard me say over in this question in people need to ask more questions. People don't ask enough questions, and the quality of questions you ask literally determines how your life will be, because the quality of questions you ask will determine the kind of answers that you look for. Matthew 7:7, ask, seek, knock. So when you ask, you seek. What you ask is what you seek. So if you're not asking relevant qualitative questions, then you're not going to be seeking relevant qualitative information. And that will not position you to knock on the door of opportunities. Hey, but that's not what we're talking about today. So let me put that aside. I'm still on my guest, Francis Zuka. Francis is, interestingly, the chairman of CIPM Enugu State Chapter. And then in his many diverse capacity, he also, amongst all of them, also serves as the GM at Udoka FM, which is a reputable and really fast upcoming radio station in the city of Enugu. Ladies and gentlemen, with your virtual hands, LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever it is that you are, please make welcome to the studio. And it is his first time on the Connect, Francis.
It's the virtual clap parts that got to me.
Oh yeah, Oh
How
yeah,
the world has changed.
I had to learn that in 2020 when we started. Yeah, because everybody was locked down. It was in the heart of lockdown. You know, the connect actually started on the 9th of August 2020, and we're just come Nigeria as it were had just come out of a lockdown. So everybody was virtual. Work was virtual. The office was virtual. Everything was virtual. So when you're running a conference, a webinar, I mean, before 1999, or sorry, before the year 2020, whoever heard of the term webinar? Think about it. Whoever heard of the term webinar? But hey, here we are. Francis Uka, it's great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's amazing.
Thank
It's
you.
your first time on the Connect. It's your first time on the Connect. All right. And I usually have a question for first timers. And this is your question before we even go into the subject matter today. What are you thankful for?
Well, I'm thankful for precious relationships.
Wow. Wow.
Relationships have been at the
Wow.
core
Wow.
of my story. Were to be
Mm.
based on competence, capacity, character exclusively, there's no way I could have been where I am right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
When you hear that
Amazing
relationships are
relationship.
bridges, I've seen it, I've handled it, I've lived it. I can testify that
Hmm.
relationships will work some sort of magic that nothing else can. Absolutely nothing else
Hmm.
can. Yeah, so I am grateful for
You know,
some of the awesome relationships that have added uh, invaluable value to my life.
invaluable value. See, so there are a lot of punchlines that I can take out of there. You're a punchline guy, and I can take a lot of punchlines out. So invaluable value.
Exactly.
You know, there's something I see all the time, and I say that as far as I'm concerned, the greatest resource that God has given to humanity is relationship, whether it's relationship with Him, relationship with our partners, relationship with business partners, relationship with stakeholders, relationship with the planet, relationship with the environment, relationship with finance, relationship with ourselves. The greatest resource that we really have, you know, to be able to fulfill purpose and do exponential exploits is relationship. And that's what you just really, you know, said in a way that I possibly couldn't even have said, you know, just as well as you said it. So I am really glad that I have someone who's on that same page, and that's something that you're thankful for, because relationships beget you everything, everything, everything. All right. So we're going to get into it. This is the second episode on the series, The Future of Work. Mm. And that's really just what we want to talk about. So let me start here. When you hear, I mean, obviously, as a employability coach, as an HR person for excellence, as someone that interacts with, you know, people in the workspace and all of that, when the entire concept of the future of work comes to you, what's the first thing that comes to mind? You know, and I just want you to just really take it from there.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is the assertion by the greatest philosopher king himself, um, that multiple Grammy award winning wise man of a king, when he said, a wise man sees trouble coming from afar and then he dodges, right? A wise man sees trouble
Hmm.
coming from afar and then he dodges. The reverse is also the case. It's also true, rather. A wise man sees good stuff coming from afar and he positions himself for it. So that's usually the first thing that comes
Yeah.
to mind whenever the concept of the future of work happens or comes up, because it's not about banding figures, throwing statistics around, talking about high tech and breakthroughs in different sectors, big economic concepts, and all of those, right?
Hmm.
It's about just having an understanding that something is coming. So, what must I do today in order to be
Hmm.
uh, at advantage? when what is coming comes. You see, because change
Right.
is usually shy. It would usually not allow you see him coming. It's the characteristic of change. But the challenge with change is that when once it
Mm.
comes, it leaves two people in its wake. It leaves champions and then it leaves casualties. The people who were positioned for the change emerge as champions. In other words, the change makes things happen for them. But those who are caught off guard, whether by ignorance or by sheer, obstinacy, they were just stubborn about, you know, about doing what they should do, or whether by familiarity, because people can get so in love with what's working that they forget that it's what works today may not always work tomorrow. You see, people can
Mm.
become too loyal to what's working that they miss out on what's coming.
Sorry.
I
Let
won't
me
ever
let
make.
me jump in there. Sorry, let me jump in. I want you to unpack that a little bit because this is perhaps could be one of the major struggles a lot of people are having, being loyal to what is, and to a certain degree, there isn't not much wrong with that, but being too loyal not to have a grip on what's coming. And I want you to unpack
Exactly.
that because it might just be the aha moment for somebody that is going to get toward this stream. So please indulge me there.
Okay, so if you look at organizations like Kodak, once upon a time, the King Kong of photography, the entire
Mm.
value chain in the photography industry, right? The people had it going for them. But change was coming from the invention of the mini camera. All right. Change was knocking at the door. But those folks were too loyal to what was working, even though they got, you know, some cues. Some folks even approached them and asked them to adopt, new technologies that were emerging. But they felt, forget that thing. Do you know how much we are making off this thing that we are doing here? Well, Kodak is history.
Wow.
If you look at
Yeah.
BlackBerry, the same thing happened to them.
Mm.
BlackBerry. I mean, BlackBerry
Mm.
was it. BlackBerry was once upon a time the Apple of today. They did not
True.
see it coming. Theirs
True that.
happened with speed. The speed with which BlackBerry died was super amazing. So the emergence of the iOS and Android phased that technology out. They could have been the ones, right, that jumped on the next big thing, but excessive loyalty to what was working kept them on the spot. I could go on and on and on,
True
and
that.
give several examples. Now, it means that the average individual needs to be grateful for what's working, but should
Yeah.
be looking out for what's coming so that what's working does not become your greatest undoing in the face of what's coming. Because you see, sometimes the person who doesn't have anything working for him may be in a better position to see what's coming because he's always looking out there. He doesn't have anything really to go to go home with right now. So his eyes are on the
Yeah.
road. So he
True that.
seems to be better positioned to see what's coming and begin to really respond because I mean he that is down fears no fall.
Mm.
So he begins to
Mm.
try and respond to what he feels is coming. But you see, the guy that is, that has got something working today, if he is not careful, will become, right, a victim of his own success.
True that.
Yeah. So so whichever way, whichever option makes a person, right, to miss out, it means that the person is not positioning for what's coming. And trust me, what's coming is always bigger, better, right, than what's working today. What's coming tomorrow is always bigger, better than what's working today.
All
Just,
right. Sorry to jump in, right? Sorry to jump in, and forgive me. I will do a bit of that in the course of our time together. Um, so before we get into the positioning is critical. The positioning is now what you ought to do, the way that you ought to think, what you ought to see, and how you ought to see it. All that, you know, all that. I want us to get specific. What exactly is coming? You know, we're talking about what's coming. We're talking about the future of work, the work of the future. But what's coming? What is coming? Because there's something coming. I see it. You see it. But there are millions of people that don't see it. Our light to see their own light. So let's be gracious here, Francis. What's coming?
Okay, so what's coming can be wrapped up in one word called change. Now, that change is super pregnant with loads and loads and loads of surprises, opportunities, new realities,
Mm.
right? All of them loaded up
Mm.
inside that one change guy, right? We're going to be having massive shifts, right? From the economic space to the political space to the religious space, as a matter of fact. In fact, with regards to
Yeah.
what's coming in the religious space, a lot of religious organizations are, as we speak, endangered species. It won't be long after now. They will be a relic of the lost age, the way they are operating right now, to be honest with you. The way they are operating right now.
I can imagine. I can imagine somebody doing a clickbait with that statement. They're just going to take that statement out of this. I just put as if Francis Lucas says the religious bodies are endangered species, and then people will be just clickbait and all of that and everything without putting it into context. But please go ahead.
For
Go
real,
ahead.
a
I'm
lot of
loving
churches
this.
and ministries
I'm
will
loving
not survive the massive changes about, especially in this part of the world, right? Of course, if you look at
it.
what's happening in the western part of the world, a lot of denominations just fizzled out. A lot of church auditoriums just got empty. Sadly,
Yeah, they've gone back to warehouses.
exactly. Sadly, people on this side seem to not be seeing what happened on the other side and then take a cue because it's coming here. And the speed and the
Hmm.
dimension with which it is coming here will make what happened there look like a joke. You see
Hmm.
that? So
Hmm.
so so the average minister, whether it is a pastor, an evangelist, an apostle, and what have you, needs a lot of reorientation, needs to be jolted, you know off that, how do I put this now, comfort zone.
The
That's
way that he has always been.
assumption. Yes, that assumption that, whatever happens, I mean, the anointing is the anointing, right? The word is the word. It go shock you.
Clickbait, 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 clickbait,
Because
clickbait.
you will still see why I said that. Okay, so I just wanted to, give a little bit of an example. Then you go to the
Yeah.
educational space, right?
Mm.
These massive shifts are going to take place. And of course, down to where our constituency for this conversation, the workspace.
Yeah.
The workspace is going to take a massive hit of the shifts that are going to happen. So, for instance, a lot of people say that AI is going to be taking away a lot of jobs, and that's true. But AI will bring in new jobs as well. It's just like technology.
Exactly.
I don't know why people want to reinvent the wheel. It's as simple as what happened in the technology age, right?
Yeah.
You remember that
Because
when
yes,
internet came, some
yeah.
people
Because
said,
because you're right. Because it will take away some mundane tasks. It will take away
yes,
some perfunctory things, but it will also create opportunities that people that are rightly positioned can
can take
maximize.
advantage of. Exactly.
And,
So,
and when you
if
look
you
through
remember,
the various revolutions, the industrial revolution, every bit of technology at that point is doing exactly what artificial intelligence is doing
straight
right now.
up, I mean, that's why that philosopher king said, "Nothing is new under the sun.
Mm,
What has been is now what is."
mm, mm,
this
mm,
this is just
mm.
old things happening to new people. It's not anything new. So get off that boat. where people are discussing AI is going to take away jobs. Jump out of that camp, right? And get in the camp where people are discussing how they will be the ones running things with AI. Because that is the only way to be able to stay relevant in the future of work.
True that.
I told people this thing has come to stay. My friend, make up your mind. AI is it. In fact, while we are still discussing artificial intelligence, there is a new chapter that is now being discussed, which is more lethal than AI, and that is synthetic intelligence.
Right.
They tell you that AI imitates, but synthetic intelligence
Creates.
creates.
Yeah, creates.
That's a different level.
Exactly.
Entirely.
I was coming to that.
You see this?
I was coming to that because sorry, Francis, I'm getting really excited here because one of the biggest challenges that we even have, which is why this conversation should be by Africans for Africans, because our own what we need to do is different from what the rest of the world needs to do. The gap that we have to cover
very true.
requires homegrown thoughts and homegrown thinking.
Very true. In fact, I said before I talk about the two categories of persons, which are the person the person in the place of what is working now, and the person who should be in the place of what's coming, right? There is a third category of persons, which is there are people who are not even in what is working now. And a larger part of Africa falls in that category. Right. It's a very sad, painful category to be in, but that is the reality of most people who form the workforce in Africa. They are not even in what's working now. So when are they going to start the journey to what's working before they now begin to move to what's coming? So you see, they already have been left behind. There are some of the people who are saying that AI is Antichrist agenda. But that's what they said about the internet. In fact, that's what they said about the television, if you remember.
Oh yeah.
Some said that the television was a devil's box and what have you. But those same people on television today, that's after they watched. They sit by the sideline and watched, and I realized that the world has left them behind though. So now they've jumped on it. Then came the internet. So some people jumped up and said it's Antichrist. It's Antichrist, that they don't want to use it, all right, to close the age, to control the world. Well, all of those people are on the internet today because they do online payments. They register for various programs and what have you using online platforms and what. Everybody is now unavoidably online. That same internet that they said was the Antichrist. Then came technology. They came up again. And I don't know why people don't learn. This is not the same thing. This is just a progression. They will come up with the same. I mean, I've seen the videos. This is not like somebody told me. I've seen the content. I'm like, I just sit down and I watch and I just shoot that. Who are these people? Where is analytical thinking? Where is critical thinking in this whole thing? Why are people so, I don't even know the adjective to qualify them with, when the rest of the world is already on their way out of planet Earth? There's another world they are creating somewhere. You are still struggling with the most basic of technology, and you have the guts. Look, even the microphone you are using to say that thing was created by the people that you are calling.
So it's selective utilization. It's okay enough to help you get your message out there, but beyond that, it must be of the devil.
Exactly. It's the kind of thing you see terrorist groups like Boko Haram do. They say that the foreign education is evil, right? But the video, the device they are using to record it,
it's not local technology.
By Western education. The guns that they are wielding, carrying on their shoulders that they use to terrorize people, it's Western education that created it. And you sit here, use their device, use the products they created, and tell us that Western education is evil. Abba, what? Imagine
and that we should not use it.
and we should not use it. Meanwhile, you are using it, so that's what you're using to broadcast to us. So you can imagine that level of let me use a word, in Igbo parlance, right? Imagine that level of efulefu. That's this fellow. All right. So there's this third category of people. Now that AI has come, they are also saying it is the Antichrist, that they want to use it
Mm.
to control human beings and control human minds and what have you. Oga, Oga, you better jump on the train and start getting yourself retooled, reskilled, and reset. Otherwise,
Mm.
when that change, which we said is what is coming, hits your quarters, you are going to end up a casualty. The chances, listen, you'll be anointed, but you'll be an anointed casualty. You will be favored, but you
Mm.
will be a favored casualty. All right. So what will happen is that you will be in the camp of casualties, but among casualties, you shall be favored, but you are in the camp of casualties. I don't know if
Mm.
you get that.
Yes, yes.
So, so you will be anointed, but the problem is that with all your anointing, you are in the camp of casualties. You did not make the cut to move to the camp of champions. You see this? So
Mm.
you will be celebrated, yes, only by casualties, fellow casualties. They are the ones that are going to celebrate you because you are in their camp. All right. Not in the camp of champions. You will be like the poor wise man that was spoken of in Ecclesiastes, whose wisdom was used to deliver a city that was besieged by an enemy. But guess what? He was not celebrated. He was not celebrated. The wisdom of the poor man has no premium.
Mm.
You need to
Has
understand that.
no premium. Has no premium. I like that. Yeah,
You need
true
to
that.
understand that. So it is that third category of persons, as I wrap up this thought, that I want to address at this point. You need to, self awareness. You need to understand where you are right now. Are you
Mm.
in the category of people who are not even in a place that of what's working now, right? Are you in the category of people who are in what is working now? Or are you in the category of people who have seen what is coming and are positioning for it? You have to be in one of these three categories so that you know what the next steps are for you to take. If you are in the last category, which are people who have been able to go beyond what's working now and are using the resources of what's working now to position for what's coming, it means that you have a work to consolidate. You are working to consolidate your positioning for what's coming, because you can be positioned, and if that position is not properly consolidated, you could be pushed out of the way before what's coming comes. You see this?
True that.
You can
True
actually
that.
have other people who are positioned like you for what's coming grab more of what's coming than you are able to get. You see this? Then if you
Yeah.
come to the people who are in a category of what's working now, you now know you have work to do, which is to move yourself to what's coming. You cannot afford to fall for that temptation of being loyal or too loyal to what's working,
To,
that you
to
are
what's
setting
working right
yourself
now.
up to be a casualty to what's coming. Then if you
Hmm.
are in the last category of persons who are not even in what's working at all, these guys, they are perhaps the
They- they-
most unfortunate of all three categories. They are not even in what's working
yeah.
right now. So they are already seriously disadvantaged. Supposing they even woke up to, is this where I am? Oh yeah, how do we now enter what's working? Notice the world is already moving to what's coming, while they are still trying to grapple with entering into what's coming. So that means your fight is different. You have two battles to engage in one fell swoop. The battle of moving to what's coming, and at the same time position for what's coming.
True that. True that. Now, when you speak like this, and I hear you very, very clearly, and I'm sure everybody out there hears you very clearly as well. You're speaking both to individuals and to organizations, to corporate,
Exactly.
entities, because
Exactly.
it's not just about people in the workspace. It's also about organizations. I mean, when you were talking about brands earlier that just faded out like dinosaurs and all of that, the Kodak, BlackBerry, and that BlackBerry one is very painful because I had two. I was the BlackBerry guy, but don't worry, let's not go there. you know Those were brands. You didn't mention names, you didn't mention individuals, you didn't mention GM. This no, those were organizations. And we're saying to everybody out there,
Mhm.
that this is not just about the organization, it's not just about the individual, it's about everything. Life is about systems operating within systems. And if you don't look, if you as an individual, you're not rightly positioned, then how is the organization? Because I say all the time that look, businesses don't do business with businesses. There's people in businesses that do business with people
Business
in
with
other
people
businesses.
with other
And so if
businesses.
you as an individual, you're not rightly positioned for what's coming, your organization is not positioned for what's coming. Period. 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 It doesn't matter how you think, how you feel. Change is coming, and that change is already is and the change is not coming by surprise. That's also something I share with people. It's not coming by
Yes.
surprise. It's been sounding an alarm for over a decade. It's been telling you, you've been seeing the little breakthroughs in innovation, in technology, in one area or the other. You've been seeing things that are possible. For instance, Francis, I'll share something with you. I saw something on TV today. I think it was on the BBC on TV this morning, and it talks about an AI stethoscope. And when I heard about it and how they will even the patient can even be trained and the patient uses it at home and how it can eliminate misdiagnosis by as high as 87.5%. I said to
Wabolicious
myself,
wawu.
some people I said some people should better start packing their bags if they're not thinking in this direction right now.
Honestly.
That's your medical degree. And I'm not I know your particular aversion to nursing degree, so I won't even allow you to go there. But that your medical degree will better serve you that's your medicine and surgery that you learned will help you be able to serve drinks in a bar. Because if you don't understand what's coming, you will not even have an opportunity to be able to. In fact, what you know will no longer be relevant because there will have been no consolidation,
Mhm.
which ties in exactly to what you're sharing. Now, I want us to move a little bit further. Now that we have an idea of what's coming, let's talk now for some time that we have about the positioning. Because someone says to me, so what do I learn? You tell me to unlearn, to learn, what do I learn? What do I learn? What are the things that we have seen generally that can't even take us beyond where we are? All right, a
So,
generation handed it over to us that this is what work looks like. I mean, let's just take it from there, Francis.
okay, so if you recall, there is a rider to our theme, which is from jobs to creating value. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's exactly what's supposed to be the focus of the average business of the average person. You see, because
true.
in the future of work, the highest reward of work will not be what we get from it, but what we become by it.
Mm, mm,
In the future
mm,
of work,
mm.
the highest reward for work will not be what we get from it, but what we become by it. This means, I know you understand what that means with regards to individuals, but for
Yeah.
organizations, it means that an organization is not going to become because of bottom line, how much it's in the balance sheet. It's going to
Mm,
now go beyond that. Now, it's not going to mean that balance sheet is no longer necessary. No, it's just going to throw up something as a priority to balance sheet. So
mm-hmm.
businesses are not going to thrive based on what they are getting from the market, but based on what they are becoming in the process of servicing the market. So it means that
True
the
as.
the business of the future is a highly mobile business. That business understands thoroughly the language of adaptability and adversity quotient. I will go to the adversity quotient a bit later because it is one subject that is not very much talked about, especially when it has to do with conversations around soft skills. So, in the
Mm,
future of work, you also need to note that work will not be given to those who can do them best, but to those who can easily adapt to doing them better. So you can do it very well. We know you are a master of the craft. There's somebody else who is not as master as you who is going to get better opportunities than you. And that person is somebody who knows the job well enough, but now has something more, which puts you on the bench. And that something more is capacity to adapt to doing them differently.
Mm,
This
mm,
is key. This is
mm.
one of the things that you need to pay attention to in the future of work, which means that flexibility is key. Which now leads me to that adversity quotient I talked about. So there are different,
Right.
categories of intelligences. You have the intelligence quotient, you have the emotional quotient, you even have the social quotient. Then there's something called adversity quotient, which is resilience, your ability to go through very rough and tough times and not be
Mm,
battered by those times, but be made better by those times. See, this is the realm where folks like Nelson Mandela operated, for which reason he became the deity he became. For the moment he
true.
was able to come out of 27 years in Robben Island and being released and given the opportunity, as a matter of fact, to run for president for election and become president, the whole world was watching, thinking that this may be another Idi Amin kind of experiment, thinking that this may be
Exactly.
another,
What will we do?
yeah, I'm telling you, this will be another, chasing everybody that's not, as South Africa, back to their various countries and all. So a lot of people don't realize it. A lot of money was rolled out to move people into South Africa who were not South Africans to possess lands that were not their forefathers' lands. You need to understand. You really need to understand what
True.
happened in South Africa, which was why when Nelson Mandela decided that he was not going to toe the path of vengeance, he was not going to give room to bitterness. As a matter of fact, he created a level playing field and he enabled the existing white community that was driving the economy. South Africa would have been like Democratic Republic of Congo by now, if not for that, move that the man made, which was why he became
Yeah.
widely celebrated. People think it's because he was in prison and now came out. Is he the only one? Do you know how many people have been in
Wow.
prison
Yeah,
and escaped?
exactly. Do you know how many people did even more than 27 years? So it
It's not
wasn't
by
about
being,
that. It wasn't
yeah, it
about
wasn't
that.
about that. It's not by being in prison and coming out though. No, it's about adversity quotient, ability to go through the worst of times and not come out the worst, but come out better in a way that we can't even explain. Now we want to come and study you, which is why one of the strongest employability skills of the future is forgiveness.
Wow. Okay. 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 Because now that has a lot of people scratching their head. Like, wait. Where did we just go from where to where? From where to where? As in we're talking about, like, I'm talking about work of the future. I'm talking about how you're telling me about forgiveness. As in what's
I'm
going
telling you.
on? What
That's
is
why
going on?
That's why there's a
Yeah.
lot of conversations around trauma management, around
Mm,
pain and healing from pain. Go and check it.
mm,
There's a lot. There's so much conversations going on around those issues now because
right.
schools of thought have it that Africa's biggest problem as we speak, both Africa and Africans in diaspora, right, is trauma, transgenerational trauma and pain.
No,
My
but
pastor was sharing with me that there's a group of black people that you have a problem with abroad, especially in America. Now, these are not immigrant blacks. These are indigenous blacks. These indigenous blacks, they are the biggest, how do I put this now? They are the biggest aggressors against immigrant blacks. Wait.
against
I have a
native
problem here.
Africans.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I have a
So
problem.
in other words,
Wait
so that we
now.
put this in context so people understand. Black Americans,
Yes,
Akata as they are popularly called, are the
yes.
biggest aggressors against Africans that travel to the US.
To America.
So that
Yes.
everybody
So,
understands. Go ahead.
yeah, yes. And it's shocking. You would think that it's the whites that are the biggest aggressors with all their discrimination tendencies, right?
Mm,
They are not
mm,
half as much aggressors as indigenous black Americans. This is
mm,
crazy.
mm.
Why is that? These indigenous Black Americans are struggling with trauma and envy and jealousy. I mean, they could cope with the whites, being that, I mean, if the whites were controlling industries, calling the shots, the ones in government and what have you, they could deal with that. I mean, their forebears actually we
Yeah,
are the ones
okay
who
with that.
carried our own
Yeah.
forebears and brought us here, what have you. It's always been them. But when they now see fellow blacks from Africa come to the US,
Motherland.
become some of the most educated folks, become strategically positioned in well-paying jobs, taking wives, and notice a lot of them don't marry indigenous blacks; they marry immigrant blacks like themselves,
Yeah.
or they marry white.
Yes.
Do you see what's
Yes.
happening?
Yes.
So these guys
Yes.
now have a problem. That wait, what's going on? So these are black folks like us, and they are doing well. They are
So,
prospering.
so there's a lot of trauma that they need to heal from because your
Exactly.
grand uncle sold their grand uncle.
Exactly. Whereas they should, and notice if there's anybody who has empathy, the size that can provide them the succor that they need is the immigrant blacks. Unfortunately, they are the biggest aggressors against the immigrant blacks. Do you see what's going on? So,
Mm,
so on many
mm,
levels, you will see this thing playing out. If we can provide that indigenous black community with healing, if we can help them come out of their trauma, if we can help them go away from the envy that is moving them in that direction, you have healed, you have restored an entire generation, you have strategically positioned them, then potentials, possibilities will begin to jump out in bubbles. You'll be shocked that this is
mm.
possible with this group of people. They are some of the most miserable group of human beings in America. Yes, indigenous Indians are doing better than them. Indigenous Pakistanis are doing better than them. Even Mexicans, including drug, what they call it, street, all these street guys doing drugs and all, are doing better than them. It's crazy, right? So that tells you something.
Hmm.
In the future of work, one of the most prized employability skills will be forgiveness, ability to forbear with fellow human beings, just to allow certain
Hmm.
processes that a system requires to function to go through. These are some of the things that no robot will
Hmm.
be able to replicate.
We'll be able to do. We'll be able to do. Let me just jump in here quickly. This thing that you're saying right now is absolutely mind blowing. You see, when we talk about adversity quotient, it reminds me of a certain thought that I've been pushing in my engagements with corporate country. And it's this is that for any organization to transit into the future, and the future is that space where the paradigm of work is significantly different from what is now. Even the objective of work, where we're saying we're not just looking for task completers, we're looking for co-creators of work, right? Which is the future of work. We're saying for organizations to transit from where they are now to where they ought to be, that they will go through three phases. I'm just trying to buttress your points on adversity quotient. And the first phase is the phase of fragility. And the fragility is not that you are weak, it's just that there's challenge, right? We're in a VUCA state, VUCA being volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. We're in a VUCA world, right? Everything around about us is topsy, policy changes, foreign exchange instability, crazy markets, war in one part of the world that's affecting another part of the world, the change in customer taste and taste buds. There are many factors to it, as you very well know. And so for you to translate, the first is fragility, and fragility is waiting you get to deal with pass you. Right? It's not that you are not a good organization. It's just that you can't answer because look, every area of struggle that we have in life are the areas that life asks us questions that we can't answer. So when in this phase of fragility, you can't answer the questions that the market is asking you. That's just all it is. Now, there is a movement from fragility to being robust. Now, robust is great. Robust is good. It's where you can contend with the things that come. Something changes, you can fly with it. But guess what? In the state of being robust, you can't. What is in the market doesn't take you out, but it also doesn't allow you to grow. So you find that you are dealing with a level of stagnancy. You are not out, but you're also not moving forward. As an organization, that is a very troubling place to be. But it seems like you have it working out. It seems like you're doing better than the fragile guys. It seems like you're still there in the market. Some way, somehow, you are moving along. You're not quite sure if you're going to be able to transit, but you're still in the game, but you're not growing. And there's a price for non-growth. And I want everybody to know this. There's always a price when you're not growing. You will pay that price. There's a price for not growing. But now, that place that we really want to get everybody to is the phase called anti-fragility. Now, that's the place that you just described, where even the tough situations deliver a better version of you. That's when your adversity quotient is undeniably high. That what should have made you bitter. You see, so now we're distilling this from the corporate to the individual, because I'm sure when you say forgiveness, many people that will watch this will say, what is, I don't understand, forgive what?
What has it got to do with it?
But you don't understand that that's also you not learning the lessons from the mistakes made. Because the encumbrance of any business is a combination of three things: the experiences of the past, the occurrences of now, and the promise of the future. So if you have not forgiven yourself for mistakes made, or forgiven others for mistakes made in the course of the experiences of past, chances are that you're still wallowing in your occurrences of now, and it makes your promise
Exactly.
of the future unbelievable. And when the promise of your future is unbelievable, then it means that there's no way the market is going to respond to you, and you can't transit because you're not there. There isn't enough trust to you. So your adversity quotient is not just because it's a feel good thing to do. It is a thing of priority. And what is priority? Priority is what you can't do without. It means that you can't do without. Look, when you're looking at the future of work, you can't do without a very high and positive adversity quotient. That's where I'm going to with all of this. Because that's
Thank
what
you very much.
enables trust. That's what enables trust. That's what makes the market say,
So,
wait a minute.
so
Go ahead.
exactly that trust factor. So you now see that in the future of work, you'll be valued more for who you are than what you can do.
Ah, yeah,
You know,
kakaka.
yes, yes. Because it's going to be a purpose driven market.
Mm,
It's going to be a purpose driven market.
mm,
Let me now speak to something that you mentioned. You talked about anchorage when you were doing
yeah,
the recap
yeah.
of what happened last. So let me speak to that anchorage issue. You see, AI is taking over technical tasks, repetitive tasks. Now, what that means is that the top skills of the future of work will be anchored on solical content. You see,
Oh,
it will have more to do with intrinsic value than what your hands, can make happen. Okay.
yeah.
You see, in the future of work, the church that you attend is now more important than the school that you attend.
Hi.
I,
Hi.
I hope you got this.
Hi. Clickbait,
Yes.
clickbait, clickbait.
Ironically, ironically, it's in that same time a lot of the church concept will come under the highest form of attack ever in the history of church, in church history.
Mm,
They are going to happen side by side.
mm,
It's about that same time.
mm,
Pay attention to this.
mm.
Now, why did I say that? Because the skills that will be more required to deliver, the skills that will emerge as premium above others, are the things that are in the very core of the message of discipleship in church systems.
True that.
For instance, what Galatians chapter 5 calls fruit of the spirit: kindness, meekness, gentleness,
Soft skills,
love,
soft skills,
faithfulness, job skills.
soft skills
That's what that's
that
what will be
produce
most
hard
prized.
results.
These are things that robots exactly. These are things that no algorithm can produce.
Kai,
They are products of the human spirit.
Kai.
You see this? So that you now understand why I said you are going to be valued more for who you are than just what you can do. What you can do will still be relevant, but something else will be now more important, which will now be who you are, the stuff that the individual is made of. Now, you need to understand why that is. It's not going to reduce the scale of economic achievement. In fact, it will
Increase.
only
Yeah,
exponentially increase it.
significantly.
Why? Because when it comes to what you can do, there's now a lot of machinery that can accomplish that. So that will be a dangerous ground to compete
Hmm.
because you cannot compete with machines as a man. But
Why
there is a
would
place
you
where machines cannot compete with
you
you.
go into a place where you don't have comparative advantage when you have a place where you are
Exactly.
unmatched, and we're all just gravitating
So
towards that place where you'll be flawed, beaten black and blue, where
exactly.
you will be rolled over and turned over like shawarma. Meanwhile, there's a place that's been predestined and arranged for you where nobody can dim your light. You can shine, and not a little light, plenty
Seamlessly.
light. You can you're not just surviving, you're thriving. Where you don't just identify, utilize opportunities, but
You're
maximize them.
thriving. You are maximize. Now you are in your natural habitat in
There you
that
go.
area. You're not trying. You're not a fish trying to learn to run on a
Oh
hundred
yes.
meters
Oh
track.
yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes.
So you have to deploy all manner of technology to be able to make that miracle happen. No, you're not a bird trying to take swimming classes. Think about it. But this is what the larger part of the workforce in many parts of the world is dealing with.
Mm, 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 mm,
So
mm.
in the future of work, if you don't have proper teaching priests who are teaching you the principles of the kingdom, the tenets of discipleship, and making your spirit rich with virtue, you are going to lose out. With all the skills you have doing the same thing 10 times over. Think about video editors today. No, think
Mm,
about guys who edit videos.
mm.
Then check out AI video editing apps. Compare the two. Compare the two. That's what we're talking about. So
Mm,
let me give you a bit of perspective, some more, so you can understand where the focus is shifting to. Because the
mm.
disruption is going to be loud. The
Absolutely.
disruption is going to be loud. That is why somebody like Pella is pulling the kind of weight he is pulling. Somebody who is morally, challenged. This person is intellectually handicapped. But guess what? The kind of economic force the guy is commanding is amazing. You see, it's looking like our world
Yeah.
has lost its course. It does not know who to reward anymore. I don't know if you get my point. There are people who are working their
Mhm.
asses out, trying to create commodities, products that are going to make life better for us, right? But they're not being rewarded like somebody who is just misbehaving and is getting rewarded for misbehavior. Why is that? Because there's a disruption behind the scene that does not readily appear.
Mm,
That disruption says that the new oil is attention, and attention is a feature of human souls. As I'm talking to
yeah.
you, the use of the word evangelism has changed. in the secular world. You know, a lot of Christians don't even know that if you go out to the regular corporate world, especially outside of your
Mm,
locality, and use the word evangelism, they will
yeah,
understand you differently. You would think that you are talking about preaching
absolutely.
Christ to somebody, the person now receive Jesus and now become born again. Or no, he's speaking to something else. You now understand that the concept of evangelism has been fully adopted and mainstreamed in today's global corporate scene, and it is targeted at the same thing. The one in the religious balance, is targeting human souls. The one that they are using is also targeting human souls. So what they're just simply saying to you is that we have moved from targeting human pockets to human souls. That where the anchorage is now is in the solical content. That the man who has access to human souls is the man
It's the man that
that has
thinks
access,
gets it
yes,
all.
to not just the pockets, but to the accounts, wherever they may be domiciled. This is what has kept Pella where he is.
Mm.
This is what has made Sabinus the investor who he is.
The great investor who really has never
This
invested.
is what has made, content creation a thing. This is what has made skit making. 10 years ago, if you were being asked, right, to think about, future skills that people should go for, you will never think about a thing like just making videos and put it on.
There's no way you would have listed. First of all, you wouldn't even have had those two
Yeah, I
words to
mean,
put together. Skip, talk less of listing it as a
it
feature
just
skill.
came upon us.
Something that existed in our
It
realm.
just came,
Yeah.
yeah, it just came upon us. You see the disruption I'm talking about? That's how there are things coming that will just come upon us like that. And if you are not positioned, you end up a casualty. That's what we're saying. Like it or not, you can castigate him till tomorrow. He is still earning more money. These guys are earning close to maybe around $10,000 to $20,000 a month off of just misbehaving and putting that misbehavior out there.
Out
Why?
there.
Where's the money? Where's the money coming from? Attention, they have followership. That's what you call influencer.
Mm.
He's a guy that has a train of people following him, and that followership has morphed into cult followership. Like it or not, that's human souls right there under the command and control of that individual. So now he is being rewarded for who he is above what he can do. Because in the real sense,
Do.
what problem is he solving? What demonstrable human problem
Hmm.
is he really solving? What's the market value of that joke?
But then again, when you think about it, right? And I'm not deviating from what you're saying, but then again, they say perception is reality, Francis. And if there's a perception, if there's a craving in the soul that needs to be met, then he has
He's meeting that
indeed
craving.
delivered value
Definitely.
by understanding. Now you can have your definition because I remember I was having a time with one of the corporates in the financial institutions in Nigeria, and I asked them, these were middle level managers to senior level managers of a bank, and I said, what exactly is value? And I realized that part of being positioned for the future of work is even understanding what value is. You see, many people are walking around with some archaic definition of what value is. They don't even understand what value is until you understand the solistic side of things. As you rightly said, you can never rightly adjudge what is valuable. Now, that 30-second, 2 minutes, 2 minutes skit is more important to someone than a 30, 45 minutes inspirational speech
Consciously or unconsciously.
that is delivered in some hall in Landmark Hotel or Rental Hotel or any other facility and all of that. That joy giver, as they call it, that 2 minutes of this guy is not serious. Sha.
And money,
So let's go
massive
back.
money is
Let's go
exchanging
back to
hands.
the place.
So
There's value exchange.
exactly.
There's value
So
exchange.
to build,
And by the way, life is premised on value of exchange, oxygen, carbon dioxide, oxygen. Think about it, value exchange. But let me yield to
yeah, so
you.
to
Let me
build
yield
on
to you. There's more I need
what
to
you
hear.
said, because that was where I was going. So to the average person, this guy is not solving any problem. This guy, what's all this? And they are just pumping money. Oh no, 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 no. It's just that problem solving just shifted. Just like what you said. your your perception needs to be adjusted. Yeah, to see
Mm,
that
mm.
there is a new problem in town that this guy is solving. That problem is the problem of reach, because in the future of work, the global economy will be more of a touch economy. It's going to be people reaching people more than ever
True
before.
that.
So that means
Yes, sir.
whoever has access to people is going to be a highly priced commodity. Access.
Right there. That is where I am. That you see right there. That's the thing right there. Anybody that's listened to me for the past 2 years has heard me say over and over again that the greatest currency we have in the world today is access. And that's exactly, see, you've just in one line said what I've been saying for 2.5 years. Access, access. Why will anybody want to? Why will any brand stand by? So we're talking about the future of work, oh. Because until you create yourself as a portal of access, even on that job, even on that desk, the question is access to what?
Exactly.
Your business is to get whoever the stakeholder is. Number one, I said, look, there are two things that are critical. Number one, you must get them, you must be able to communicate the access, and you must be able to get the access to satisfy the stakeholder. Who's the stakeholder? Anybody that can affect or is affected by what you do. Now, somebody like Pella that you said has identified who his stakeholders are: funders, consumers, and every other person in the value chain. He's defined his channel, which is very key. YouTube, on-site media. By the way, the work of the future without a digital print is, I don't know
I
anybody
mean,
that told you that the future of work without digital print is, you are joking. You are this is not even where you should be. This is not even where you should be. But my goodness, see, there's too much. There's too much. There's too much. There's too much.
so
Look, I just looked at the time, Francis. I just saw that it is past 8 o'clock. I don't know how we're going to do
okay,
this. I don't know how
let me
we're
just
going
wrap
to do
up.
this, but we are going to have to wrap up. But apart from wrapping up, this conversation cannot be over. We have to do this again. I don't know if you are available. We'll work out the time.
Okay,
All
okay,
right. We'll work out the time. But let me just let you wrap up for today.
okay.
Let me let you wrap up for today, and then we will take it from there.
So in wrapping up, two things was, I want you to pay attention to. Just the same way a few short years ago, we're saying that whatever you do, you need to look at the tech side of it. Skill up along the lines of the tech side of whatever you do. That in the future, people are going to lose jobs because not because they can't do them, but because organizations will not have the patience to wait for you to do them manually the way you've been doing them. You have to use technology to do them.
Mm,
All right. In the same
mm,
way, you now need to begin to look at the AI side of things. Whatever you do, there is an AI that is responsible for something around that thing. You see, this is important. This is one of the ways you are positioning for
mm-hmm,
what's coming. All right. Then you also need to pay attention to some of the most prized employability skills or soft skills, if you like, right? That will distinguish you, because the number of people who are becoming AI compliant and AI competent are multiplying by the day. But I can show you one area
mm,
where not many people are getting better at. And that is
mm.
exactly some of those skills that I mentioned to you that are that are products of the virtue of the soul, right?
Yeah.
I talked about adversity quotient. I talked about what scripture calls fruit of the spirit. We call them employability skills.
Mm.
So it will amaze you how much of a difference. I mean, I was talking with a friend of mine who, as at 2013,
Mm-hmm.
was regional manager for one of the biggest what they call it, what they call them again, um, financial institutions, right, in the
Okay.
country.
All
As
right.
at
All
2013,
right.
she was the regional manager, right? So you can
Yeah.
imagine where she has gotten to now in that system. So she was sharing with me 2 months ago. She came into town and we had the opportunity to meet. And she said something. Please listen to this so you can understand why this second leg is even more important than the previous one I mentioned. She said she didn't realize that as you go up in the corporate ladder, we will
Mm.
talk less about targets and talk more about politics.
Oh yes.
Oh,
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. I can talk a whole lot about that.
because the girl was busy. She was busy hitting targets. She was working her ass out, hitting target. Then before her very eyes, she began to notice that people who were not hitting her kind of target were getting ahead of her in the system. So when she noticed that pattern, she still saw like, what's happening? What's going on? Initially, she thought she was being cheated. That's how the average person will feel. And then when she went into the matter, because this thing kept happening, because she mentioned like two persons that when she looks at them, these people can't do what she can do, but they are ahead of her in the
Yeah.
system. They overtook her because at a point she just climaxed. She just felt like there was a lead on top of her head.
On top of her.
Until
Yeah.
she now learned that at a certain level in leadership, you will now have to be skilled at dealing with issues and humans in such a way that you are able to curate your perception game. You talked about perception. You are able to curate your perception game so effectively
Absolutely.
that you are not disadvantaged despite the fact that you have competence. You will have to be able to tell your story
Exactly.
in such a convincing and compelling way that you cannot be ignored. It's not now just about what you can do. No, it's about how you can tell the story of what you can do, how you can tell the story of why you should be the person in that position, how you can tell the story of how who you are connects to the objective of the platform that you are looking to enter that position. I don't know if you get this thing I'm saying. So, in that she didn't pay attention to that, she just thought it was
Absolutely.
about bringing results. Then she kept bringing results and noticed she could not go beyond a certain level. So, it now dawned on her that there's something else we need to add to what we have been doing. Unfortunately, just like you said, there's a price for not growing. In that she didn't grow in that area, she experienced a setback. But now she's learned her lesson and she's moving in that
Mm.
direction. So you see why these are two legs of the table that you have to pay attention to as you move into the future of work.
Amazing. 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 I definitely another episode. I don't know when they will be, but it has to happen because we are far from exhausting this. And I want to say massive thank you to you, Francis, for not only sharing your time, but sharing your thoughts, but perhaps even much more than that, sharing your heart. Because the things that you've talked about today has literally
Well, where are you? Okay, it looks like network took you out. Are you there? Okay, guys, I don't know. I think he will soon be back. I think network. Oh my god. Mhm.
All right. Okay, so we had a bit of technical itch, and we're going to be wrapping up the episode right now. Thank you for joining in. We'll be right back next Sunday on another episode of Connect. I had such an amazing time, and then we had a bit of technical itch at the end. And yeah, catch you soon, and see you next week for another episode still on the future of work.